Vulnerability as a catalyst for growth. When we think about growth, we often envision it as a process of acquiring new skills, advancing in our careers, or finding ways to improve our lives. But true growth is rooted in something far deeper than skill sets or accolades. It starts with vulnerability. Vulnerability is the willingness to be seen, heard, and known, even when we're unsure of the outcome. It's the courage to stand in the truth of who we are, knowing that there's a risk we may fall short, be misunderstood, or face judgment. But when we embrace vulnerability, we invite transformation. This kind of growth isn't comfortable. Vulnerability exposes the parts of ourselves that we often want to hide: our fears, insecurities, and doubts. It's about letting go of control and stepping into spaces where we may not have all the answers. But in doing so, we gain something profound: a clearer understanding of our strengths and our limitations. Vulnerability acts as a mirror, reflecting back the areas where we need to stretch, adapt, and improve. And through this reflection, we learn more about who we are at our core. Moreover, vulnerability unlocks connection. When we allow ourselves to be open and real with others, we create a space where they feel safe to do the same. These connections lead to a sense of shared humanity, where we realize we are not alone in our struggles or challenges. This collective experience pushes us further along our path of growth, giving us the support we need to take risks and try again, even when things don't go as planned. Finally, vulnerability is the foundation of resilience. When we expose ourselves to challenges or reveal parts of our journey that are still in progress, we train ourselves to navigate discomfort and build mental and emotional strength. Growth through vulnerability isn't about achieving perfection or avoiding pain. It's about being willing to face it all: the good, the bad, and the uncertain, with an open heart and mind. Courage over comfort. Choosing courage over comfort means making a conscious decision to step into spaces that stretch us beyond what feels safe or easy. Comfort is familiar. It's the warm, well-lit room we know like the back of our hands. But courage lives in the uncharted, the places where the walls may be thin and the lighting is dim. It calls us to move beyond what we know, to explore parts of ourselves that we may not yet fully understand, and to confront experiences that may challenge our beliefs or shake our sense of certainty. True courage doesn't ignore fear. It acknowledges it and chooses to move forward anyway. Courage asks us to go first, to take that leap even when there's no assurance that the outcome will align with our hopes. When we prioritize courage, we sign up for vulnerability, the willingness to risk failure, rejection, and misunderstanding. It's in these moments of risk that we reveal our true character, our values, and our commitment to growth. Every time we choose courage, we redefine what's possible for us, expanding our limits and testing the strength of our convictions. Living courageously often means letting go of perfectionism and embracing the messiness of being human. Comfort tells us to avoid mistakes, to stay within the boundaries of what we know we can do well. Courage, on the other hand, invites us to fail forward, to learn from each stumble, and to keep moving even when we're uncertain. It's in these experiences that we cultivate resilience, learning to stand firm even as we're stretched in new and uncomfortable ways. By choosing courage, we give ourselves permission to grow in ways that comfort would never allow. Growth isn't born from staying safe, it's born from daring to step into unfamiliar spaces, from facing the parts of ourselves that we may have tucked away out of fear or insecurity. That authenticity builds resilience. Authenticity is the commitment to show up as we truly are, without masks or pretenses. It means aligning our words, actions, and values, even when it's hard or uncomfortable. In a world that often pressures us to conform, being authentic is an act of courage, but it's also one of the greatest strengths we can develop. Authenticity demands honesty with ourselves first and foremost. It requires us to confront our beliefs, acknowledge our emotions, and accept both our strengths and our flaws. This self-awareness is the foundation of resilience, the ability to weather life's storms while staying rooted in who we are. When we show up authentically, we cultivate resilience because we're no longer relying on external validation or approval. We're guided by our inner compass, not by the shifting opinions of others. This internal alignment keeps us steady, even in the face of criticism or rejection. We're not trying to be someone else, nor are we dependent on others to define our worth. This self-assurance allows us to handle setbacks and failures with greater grace because our sense of self remains intact. Authenticity also fosters deeper connections with others, and it's through these genuine relationships that we find support during difficult times. When we're willing to be real, to share our challenges, and to let people see us as we are, we build bonds rooted in trust and mutual understanding. These connections create a safety net that can lift us up when life gets hard. Knowing that we don't have to pretend that we're accepted as we are makes us stronger. This sense of belonging gives us the confidence to bounce back, knowing we're not alone. Furthermore, authenticity teaches us to embrace imperfection. When we're true to ourselves, we're no longer striving for some idealized version of who we think we should be. Instead, we accept that we are constantly learning and evolving. This acceptance of our imperfections and our willingness to be seen in that light builds resilience by allowing us to adapt. Rather than being rigid in our expectations of ourselves, we can move through life with more flexibility, adjusting to challenges without losing sight of who we are at our core. Breaking down the walls. Breaking down the walls we build around ourselves is one of the most profound steps toward personal freedom and connection. These walls, constructed over time, often stem from a need to protect ourselves from past hurts, rejections, or disappointments. They are created out of self-preservation, a way to avoid vulnerability by controlling what others see and what they don't. But these walls, meant to shield us, often become barriers that limit us, keeping us from experiencing true connection, joy, and growth. Breaking them down requires bravery, as it involves exposing the parts of ourselves that we've long kept hidden. When we start dismantling these barriers, we give ourselves permission to show up authentically. We allow ourselves to be seen in all our complexity, knowing that vulnerability is not weakness but strength. By lowering our defenses, we create space for others to see our real selves, our struggles, our dreams, and our stories. This openness not only deepens our relationships, but also invites others to break down their walls as well, creating a cycle of trust and understanding. In this shared vulnerability, we find a sense of belonging that cannot be built on pretense or surface-level interaction. Breaking down walls also means challenging the narratives we've internalized about who we are and what we're capable of. Often, these walls are built on limiting beliefs or fears of inadequacy that we have carried for years. When we let go of these defenses, we give ourselves the chance to redefine our self-worth and our potential. We begin to see that we are not defined by past mistakes or rejections, but by our willingness to grow, to try again, and to allow ourselves to be imperfect. Each wall we dismantle is a step toward becoming more whole, grounded, and connected to our true selves. This process of breaking down walls teaches us resilience because it confronts us with discomfort. We may encounter old wounds, uncomfortable truths, or fears of rejection, but by choosing openness, we become more resilient to life's uncertainties. We're no longer relying on these walls to feel safe. Instead, we're building our strength from the inside out. Each step toward openness reinforces our capacity to handle adversity without retreating behind barriers. Over time, as the walls come down, we find that we are far stronger than we realize, capable of facing whatever life throws our way with courage and an open heart. Failing forward. Failing forward is a concept that redefines our relationship with failure, transforming it from a source of shame and fear into a powerful tool for growth and learning. In a society that often equates success with perfection, the idea of failing can feel daunting. However, Embracing failure as part of the journey is essential for personal development. When we shift our perspective to see failure as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities. The reality is that failure is a natural part of any meaningful endeavor. Whether we're pursuing a new career, embarking on a creative project, or attempting to improve our relationships, the path to success is rarely linear. In fact, the most successful individuals often have a long history of failures behind them, each one providing invaluable lessons that have shaped their journeys. By allowing ourselves to fail, we grant ourselves the freedom to experiment, innovate, and take risks without the paralyzing fear of not getting it right the first time. Failing forward also teaches us resilience. Each setback we encounter is an opportunity to learn more about ourselves, our capabilities, and the world around us. When we face challenges head-on and accept that mistakes are part of the process, we cultivate a mindset that embraces growth. This resilience allows us to bounce back stronger, armed with the knowledge gained from our experiences. Instead of viewing failure as the end of the road, we begin to see it as an essential component of our journey. Moreover, failing forward encourages a culture of openness and vulnerability. When we share our failures with others, we create a safe space for dialogue and connection. This transparency fosters an environment where others feel empowered to share their struggles and setbacks, leading to collective learning and growth. It reminds us that we're not alone in our challenges. Everyone has faced obstacles, and it's through sharing these experiences that we can support one another. Additionally, the process of failing forward cultivates humility. It invites us to recognize that we don't have all the answers and that growth comes from seeking knowledge, feedback, and new perspectives. When we allow ourselves to be learners rather than solely focusing on outcomes, we open the door to collaboration and innovation. This humility leads to richer experiences and deeper connections with others as we acknowledge that we are all works in progress, navigating our unique paths. In embracing the notion of failing forward, we become more adaptable and open to change. The fear of failure often paralyzes us, keeping us from pursuing our passions or trying something new. However, when we view failure as a necessary part of the growth process, we free ourselves from this fear. We become willing to step outside our comfort zones, explore new opportunities, and embrace uncertainty with curiosity rather than dread. The power of connection through openness. The power of connection lies in our willingness to be open, to drop our guard, and to let others see us as we truly are. Openness is an invitation, a bridge that allows us to connect with others on a deeper, more meaningful level. In a world that often emphasizes independence and self-reliance, it's easy to fall into the habit of keeping our thoughts and feelings to ourselves. Yet it is precisely through sharing our experiences, our vulnerabilities, and our truths that we create space for real connection to flourish. When we allow ourselves to be open, we invite others to do the same, breaking down the invisible barriers that often keep us at a distance. Openness creates a ripple effect. One person's willingness to share openly inspires others to share, fostering a culture of trust and understanding. In these moments of shared vulnerability, we realize that we're not alone in our experiences. We recognize that others too have faced similar challenges, insecurities, and dreams. This shared humanity strengthens the bonds between us, allowing for empathy and compassion to replace judgment or misunderstanding. Connection through openness also gives us the courage to be fully seen. When we share parts of ourselves, even the ones we may feel are unworthy or imperfect, we let go of the need to curate a perfect image. Instead, we present our real selves with all of our joys, struggles, and contradictions. This authenticity fosters a sense of belonging that goes beyond superficial interactions, creating relationships that are resilient and grounded in truth. In allowing ourselves to be seen as we are, we not only honor our own stories, but also encourage others to honor theirs, contributing to a world where we feel accepted, not in spite of our differences, but because of them. Furthermore, openness deepens our understanding of others. When we listen with an open heart, without judgment or preconceived notions, we gain insight into the lives and perspectives of those around us. This understanding leads to a greater sense of compassion and empathy, allowing us to see other stories as valid and valuable, even if they differ from our own. By embracing openness, we create a foundation for relationships that are built on mutual respect and shared meaning, which can withstand the inevitable ups and downs of life. Connection through openness also enhances our personal growth. When we are willing to receive feedback and perspectives from others, we become more receptive to new ideas, insights, and ways of seeing the world. Openness invites us to learn, to expand our understanding, and to challenge our own beliefs in healthy, constructive ways. This growth doesn't just improve our relationships with others, it also strengthens our relationship with ourselves as we become more self-aware and attuned to our values and goals. Ultimately, the power of connection through openness is transformative. It takes courage to let down our guard and risk being vulnerable, but the rewards are profound. Through openness, we find belonging, compassion, understanding, and growth. We recognize that at our core, we all share a common desire to connect, to be seen, and to be understood, honoring imperfection. Honoring imperfection means embracing the beauty of being incomplete, of being human, and of growing through our flaws and failures. Society often places immense pressure on us to achieve an idealized version of ourselves, polished, composed, and seemingly flawless. But true growth and fulfillment don't come from perfection. They come from accepting and even celebrating the imperfect, messy parts of who we are. When we honor imperfection, we make space for our humanity and recognize that every misstep and every shortcoming contributes to our story and shapes our character. This acceptance allows us to release the exhausting pursuit of perfection and instead focus on progress. It reminds us that we don't need to be fixed to be worthy or valuable. Honoring imperfection means seeing ourselves, flaws and all, as works in progress. This perspective invites compassion into our lives, enabling us to be gentler with ourselves when we make mistakes or fall short of our expectations. Rather than judging ourselves harshly, we learn to see each experience as an opportunity for growth, an invitation to learn and to evolve. Honoring imperfection also strengthens our connections with others. When we stop pretending to have it all together, we give others permission to do the same. This authenticity creates a bond that is far more meaningful than any facade of perfection could ever be. In being open about our own struggles, we become relatable, approachable, and real. Our imperfections make us human. And it is precisely in our shared humanity that we find the most profound connections. This vulnerability is the foundation of trust, allowing others to see us as we are and to feel safe revealing their true selves. Additionally, honoring imperfection nurtures creativity and innovation. When we allow ourselves to take risks without fearing failure, we open the door to new ideas and possibilities. Perfectionism often limits us, keeping us confined to what feels safe and certain. But when we honor our imperfect process, we are free to experiment, to try and fail, and to explore paths we might otherwise avoid. This openness to imperfection fuels our creativity and encourages us to think beyond boundaries, knowing that each attempt, regardless of the outcome, adds to our growth. Honoring imperfection is also a profound act of self-acceptance. It's about recognizing that our worth isn't tied to our achievements, appearances, or the approval of others. Instead, it's rooted in who we are at our core. By embracing our imperfections, we give ourselves permission to show up as we are, unfiltered and unmasked. This self-acceptance not only liberates us from external expectations, but also fosters a sense of inner peace and confidence that can't be shaken by criticism or comparison not taking control of our stories. Taking control of our stories is about claiming ownership over our lives, our choices, and the meaning we assign to our experiences. It's the powerful act of stepping out of the role of a passive participant and becoming the author of our narrative. Often our stories are shaped by influences beyond our control, family expectations, societal norms, past traumas, or other people's opinions. Over time, we may start to believe that our story is fixed, that we're bound by these external definitions. But taking control of our story means recognizing that we have the power to redefine who we are and how we want to move forward. This shift requires us to confront the narratives we may have internalized about ourselves. It's about identifying the parts of our story that no longer serve us, the labels, limitations, or fears that have held us back, and choosing to rewrite them in a way that aligns with our true values and aspirations. When we take control, we give ourselves permission to let go of the past, to release any narratives rooted in shame, and to embrace a version of our story that reflects our resilience, growth, and potential. Taking control of our stories also empowers us to find meaning in our struggles. Life inevitably presents us with challenges and setbacks, but by taking ownership of our narrative, we can view these experiences not as defining moments of defeat, but as opportunities for learning and transformation. We learn to see our hardships as chapters in a much larger story, each one adding depth and wisdom. This perspective allows us to approach difficulties with a sense of agency, as we actively choose how to interpret and respond to each experience, building a story that reflects our strength and perseverance. Moreover, when we own our story, we free ourselves from the need for external validation. We stop seeking approval or permission from others to be who we are or to pursue what matters to us. Instead, we become our own source of validation, grounded in a sense of self-worth that isn't tied to outside opinions. This inner confidence gives us the courage to pursue our goals, embrace our individuality, and stand firm in our beliefs, knowing that we are the authors of our journey. Taking control of our stories also means using our voice, sharing our experiences, and expressing our truth. When we share our story authentically, not only honor our journey, but also invite others to do the same. In doing so, we build connections, inspire others, and contribute to a culture where everyone feels empowered to claim their own narrative. By owning our story, we create space for collective growth and understanding, where each voice adds to the richness of the human experience. Taking control of our stories. Taking control of our stories means claiming ownership over our lives and the meaning we assign to our experiences. Often, our narratives are shaped by external forces, family expectations, societal norms, or past traumas. Over time, we may believe we're bound by these influences, but reclaiming our story allows us to redefine ourselves. This shift requires confronting and rewriting the labels or fears that no longer serve us, aligning with our true values and aspirations. Owning our story empowers us to find meaning in struggles, seeing hardships as transformative chapters rather than defeats. By letting go of the need for external validation, we cultivate inner confidence, grounded in self-worth. This empowers us to pursue our goals and embrace individuality. Sharing our story authentically honors our journey and encourages others to do the same, fostering a culture where everyone feels empowered to claim their own narrative.